I told them because of that, these boys, I've always kind of said this to them. I was like, hey, you don't understand how much I need you as well, much as you need me, because you don't understand, by you being in my life, it makes me want to be better, and I just don't want to mess up.
Guys, welcome back to the Restoration Club podcast. We are in season 2, episode 3. Hope you guys are doing amazing this week. We're excited to have a new friend in the house, a new friend to us at least, but he's definitely a well-seasoned veteran in the clubhouse with Restoration Club. So we just want to give a little bit of background, at least from what I am aware of. Golf coach extraordinaire, swing coach, trainer, all these kind of wonderful things. I know this guy gets up really early and goes to the gym. That's what I know. I see the Instagram stories. I'm jealous, but not too jealous. But Robin Rosado's here. And so, Robin, if you would just introduce yourself to our friends here in the clubhouse.
Oh man, that was thanks for putting me out in the 5 a.m. gym sessions. Yeah, I gotta keep
Exactly.
in reality really quick. It allows me to keep myself accountable, because when I miss it, someone's like texting me or messaging me and be like, hey, like, where's the gym session? So I'm like, it's good. It keeps me accountable by doing it by doing that. Anyway, yeah. So I'm happy to be here. My foundation of what I do is I'm a golf coach by trade. Former kind of player, I guess you could say, to now coach, head pro to coach. And then now, as we can dive more into it now, into like nonprofit leader or president, however you say, is on a different side. And so everything around is involved around golf, around kingdom, around being better leaders in the world is my whole entire aura right now. And how do we leverage golf as a platform for kingdom growth, and growing the game, to put it simply as well.
Awesome. I know we were chatting up a little bit about family previously. So tell us about what you have running around with the house and what's going on over there.
Yeah, so the real engine of our family is actually my wife, Katie. She's the best. We met in May. My wife and I, we met in college. She was with me when I had a great stable job. She was with me when I was trying to do the minis, and that was just brutal. Um, what was that after the minis? Oh, I was a head pro, and then I left that, and we started, Top Speed Golf, our YouTube channel that we're going to dive into now. So Katie, my wife, she's incredible. And then we have our 2 young ones, London Grace, she's 5, and then Ryder James, who's 3. Both are in golf camp. Shout out to Miriam she's a U.S. Kids Golf at our club. And man, she's incredible with them, because me, real quick, like me, I'm with my kids. I'm like, hey, get your right elbow here. You know what I mean? Like get your hand in the position where you need it to be. And then Miriam's like, you're doing great, hit it. Just so she has all these little tricks and trades. I'm like, dang, I'm like, all right, I'm never coaching my kids ever again.
Know your strengths. That's what we always say.
Sounds like we
right.
could all use a little Miriam in our lives. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's all right.
So, hey, Robin, you touched a little bit on the nonprofit sphere a little bit. So why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you got going on with that side?
Yeah, so we just launched. This is actually our logo here. Shout out. This is Jordan Green, who created our logo for us, and it's called Before the Links, and that was a Marsh kind of connection there. So I love how the Lord kind of like in golf and just, hey, let me connect you, and then here we are now. But so what we're doing is we're a leadership development organization for junior golfers. Now, what we're trying to do is we're trying to find those kids who are good at the game, who are great at the game, and we can see the potential of taking it to the next level, so college golf. And we want to provide all the resources that we can to level the playing field and get them recruited. Now, on the back end of it, this is our niche, and this is really what it was actually started, was we want to create leaders. So we have a pretty strong leadership development curriculum that they have to follow. So that is it's a preparation, I say, for the corporate world. So if golf doesn't, yes, we are striving our best to get them on a college program. If it doesn't work out, and if pro golf doesn't work out, then at least they have a background of great golf, and they have a background of strong leadership development, like corporate leadership development hopefully that helps them succeed kind of rapidly in the corporate space, like kind of quickly. And we're also kind of leveraging, and y'all know that golf and business and corporate space is like such a big, a big influence. Or we'll talk more about, like, for me in my space as a coach, like golf is such a vulnerable time for people, and so we can come alongside them as leaders and just kind of build people up. And so that's what we're trying to do, is leverage golf as a platform, teach them that, and teach them leadership skills so that we can create leaders out there in the corporate world as well. Just leveraging golf as a platform.
Love that. So did when you give us a little bit of the background, like you said, the plan where you did mini tours, you did that kind of stuff, even the head pro side. Tell us about that journey. What's that? I mean, tell us about your pro stretch.
Yeah. I was living in the red every single month, and anytime my bank account was in the green, it was a fantastic month. So part of it, I guess you could think of like my story there, right? So it's like I really kind of grew up coming from nothing, and so then you kind of always have to like grind your way. And I was joking around, like I was during the mini tour days, I was a mover for like 2 days out of the week, like literally moving furniture. I was ahead of the game. I was flipping vintage clothes. I was going through
Nice.
Salvation Army and Goodwill. I mean, thankfully, my cousin showed it to me. This is like 15 years ago, and my cousin, he now like dresses major rappers in the game in vintage clothes, but he was ahead of his game then. And so he was like, "Hey, you got to get it." He's in New York, and so you got to do this here in Florida. So I was like, I actually making pretty good money flipping vintage on eBay. And my wife was like, "What is going on here?" Like, she was dating me. It was absolutely hilarious. So it was an emotional roller coaster playing the minis. You know what I mean? You just live and breathe like by like one stroke at a time. And I probably would have kept trying if I didn't get offered a job to be, the course that I grew up on. The head pro retired, and they kind of offered the GM I knew from like growing up, and he offered me the job to be the like interim head pro, or they're going to put me through the PGA, all that kind of stuff. And so I became the head pro when I was doing that for 4 years or so. And then I got quote unquote recruited by Top Speed Golf to be their director of instruction, and I've been doing that since for the past almost 7 8 years now.
Yeah, that's amazing stuff, man. I love that.
What does
Yeah,
that look like,
yeah.
Robin? Just out of curiosity for anybody that's listening and doesn't know, what exactly is Top Speed? Who comprises the group, and what is kind of the goal of it?
Yeah, so Clay Ballard he's the founder of Top Speed, along with another guy, Josh. He's kind of more behind the scenes operations. Uh, but what we do is we're an online based instruction company, and just like we have a membership model, some monthly, yearly subscription type deal, and we have thousands of videos on our site courses that you can take, master classes that you can do, webinars that you can attend. So it's an all-in-all package. But we kind of started off just on YouTube and throwing content out there with the idea of like generating traffic to our site. So it was YouTube is a traffic. It's not a content place for us. It's not like a revenue generator for us, but it's a traffic source for us on that end. So it's great because like I'll tell you just a quick story. This is crazy. So we were doing great. We were really growing when COVID, comes around, right? And then COVID comes, and we've been now established for 4 years and doing this, and we've been when V1 Sports was like the only online instruction thing. So I do online instructions for people all around the world, and COVID hits, and everybody like it was just crazy. Like our, not to say like our business just went through the roof like none other, and we're like, what in the world is happening? And then V1 Sports calls is like, hey, we got Jim McLean and Butch Harmon like trying to figure out what you all are doing, because they need to get on your model. Like it's like because they don't know if like their academies are open or anything like that. We're like, what in the world? And then they're like, yeah, who's Robin in your organization? And they're like, yeah, he does all of like a lot of our online lessons. He's like, he just did like 30,000 videos in 2019, He's like, he's doing the most globally in the whole entire world. So I was like, oh. So then it was out of like 53,000 students. So or instructors in using V1. So it was pretty crazy time. So COVID hits, and we were kind of already we were already trending up in a good way. Like our business was growing. We're doing a lot of online lessons, and so part of that we use V1 Sports, and I'm able to give lessons to students all around the world through that. So that's an upsell to our website, by the way. So I'm personally working with people everywhere. And so, a few months rolls in, and so then V1 contacts us and says like, hey, we've got like Jim McLean and Butch Harmon who want to get on a call with you because they are scared that their academies are going to close down. They need to get into the online world. And then we're like, what in the world is happening? Like we're just mom and pop here, type of thing. And then they're like, they kind of like go through is like, what are you guys doing? Because do you guys realize, so this is how it was like, do you guys realize you're doing the most video lessons globally out of all the like 53,000 instructors they had in V1? And like, who's Robin? Like he did like 20 some thousand videos in 2019. And, and then that was in 2019. And this is not even 2020. 2020 like doubled, the amount of videos that were. It was crazy. I was pulling all-nighters. Like it was insane the amount of online. And then obviously the president's like, you can go play golf. That's about all you can do.
Right.
And so it was crazy. We haven't had like normal growth up until like just recently of this past 2023. So, so we were really blessed at the time. We had a platform already in place, for online golf. And then, COVID just kind of like, leverage, it was just, we were just super blessed and very, very lucky in that moment there. So, so I do a lot, that's why I'm able to, in my work, yes, I work with a lot of players, college, pros, general, anybody really, but I'm able to, my schedule is very flexible. So I don't rely on like me staying on lesson tee for 8 hours a day. I can kind of be very boutique-y, to put it simply, when it comes to in-person stuff. And it allows my schedule to be a lot more free.
Man, Robin, that's crazy. It's crazy to hear about that transition through COVID, having someone like Butch Harmon hop on the phone just to understand how to get into the digital world. I'm sure not something you were expecting there.
Yeah.
But let me take it a step back. Obviously, you've done a ton in the game, even in the past, handful of years. Where did the game start for you? What was the introduction?
So it was actually, my dad's best friend. My dad was he was a tennis pro. But then he turned into he was in charge of security for Lake Nona Estates. Do you guys know Lake Nona? And, like where Ernie Els, all those guys. So at the time he was in charge of like the security for like just the gate and everything. And so I was a tennis player, and my dad's best friend just gave me a golf club. And then it was like, I remember it was a precision something, like it was beat up. And I just smoked it, and I was like, "This is sweet." And he kind of just gave me like little tweaks here and there. I'm like, "Dang!" I'm like, "I got this. This is like no problem. Like this is easy." Yeah, that was like the first time that God like realized I need to be humble in this game. But like, so it was. So I'm a little bit of an outlier. So I was 12 years old when that. I was 12 when that happened. And then so my dad was like, "Oh, he loves golf." So he immediately got me lessons with the head pro, Scott Blanchard, at Lake Nona. He was the head pro at the time, Scott Blanchard. And I'm like in the back of the range at Heathrow. Now it's like, that's where Daniel Gray's at, and they had their true spec area now. And I didn't, like, it was just, I'm not, like, I'm totally oblivious to like pros, like who's Ernie Els and who's Nick Faldo, who's Ian Poulter, Graham McDowell, all these guys, and they're in the back, and I'm getting a lesson, and they're beating balls, and then my dad's like, "Hey, this is Ernie," and Ernie's like, "Hey, let me watch you hit a few," that kind of thing. So, I was like every Saturday I was beating balls at Lake Nona for hours and hours on end, and Ernie Els was like giving me tips, Nick Faldo, and I just didn't know, like I just didn't know what was happening, and I'm like on pure just tearing up turf. I remember I would be out there for hours on end. So I had a little bit of an outlier fast track to kind of getting good at the game. And then from there, just kind of normal, you just play, high school, AJGAs, you go into college, had an extremely brief stint in college. I had an injury on my ankle that that really kind of prevented me from going further in my college career. That was like the first time that God really started fresh in my life. Where I grew up as a Christian, I had faith, but like I remember my freshman year, I got like insanely good at golf, like crazy good out of nowhere, and I was like, "Ah, man, I don't need. I'm like, I'm not finishing college. I'm going pro. I'm like, and at the time I'm playing, against there's Ricky and Brooks Koepka and Wesley Bryant, all these guys this is my era. And, I'm 35. And so there's these great players. I'm like, dude, I'm right up there with them, and Brian Harmon, it's crazy. And then I was dumb, I went wakeboarding and I shouldn't have. And I tore up my ankle and that was the start of God really kind of reeled me in. It's like, hey, golf is still going to be in your life, but I have better plans in the direction that you think that you can take your own life. You know what I mean? And it was great because I know me. If I would have played and let's say made millions and whatever, I would have knowing me, I would have no need for the Lord. And I would have I would make decisions on my own and I would have maybe I'd be a good guy, a nice guy, but I just wouldn't really have a full reliance on the Lord and I wouldn't have met my wife, that type of thing. So it was like the first time God really started fresh on me and I jumped head into FCA and Crusade. So I got really involved at UCF with Crusade. I became a leader for them and that was like the best thing ever. Like that catapulted my faith and got really to where the start of where God was like really forming me and how he can use me in a big way for the kingdom and golf and at the same time still. But I did take a brief stint away from it. Like I hated it for like 2 years.
What'd you do during that time?
No, I worked at IKEA, the furniture place. And I actually got promoted like really quickly. And that was like part of like, so I met my wife in college and then I'm getting like promoted. And I'm making like really good money for like a 21-year-old and like more money than I should. And I, again, going back to maybe now 22. And I told Katie, I was like, dude, you don't have to work. I got this. Like, let's have the American dream. Like we're crushing it. I bought like a sick F-150, like it was just, I'm living the dream. And then God's like, man, dude, like, hey, you like, can you like stop when you get success? Can you like just stop thinking that you're just like the man for a little bit? And that was again. Well, luckily I did. I remember I kind of saw the views and the values of that company, and it didn't line up. And they're hard. It just wasn't lined up. And I remember sitting at my desk one day. I was like, now I'm a logistics manager at 22 and I got like a team of 30 people. It's crazy. And I remember I just sat there and be like, man, I don't like the person I'm becoming. And I never was a sit behind a desk person. Like I'm looking outside the window. I'm like, oh man. So I just quit. I resigned like that day. It was stupid, but I told my boss, I'm like, I think I'm going to just resign today and just write a letter up and I'll just do it. And I told Katie, she was crying because I told her, I was like, we're gonna have the dream, we're gonna get engaged, and all that kind of stuff. And now I'm like, nope, I'm gonna play mini tour golf. And so that's when it started. And it was a journey. We didn't get engaged till we were dating for 6 years until we got engaged. And so it was. And I took I pretty much took the 401k money I had at IKEA to pay. I was like, I got to do something. She's gonna leave me if I don't actually ask this girl to marry me. And so I took from my I took 401k and paid for a ring. And here we are now. It's crazy how God just uses stories of starting fresh. And that was another time again where that's like the second time God started fresh in my life and leveraged the opportunity for me to. And at that time I kind of humbled myself in a way and just really drew back and kind of stepped in my faith. And there's nothing like mini tour golf nothing like golf in general to keep you honed in on your faith,
I was going to say, Robin, going back to that injury freshman year, I mean, I think all of us have faced scenarios where we may have frustration with the Lord or may not be able to reconcile why these things are happening, or it's humility. And now you have the
Mm.
ability to kind of look back on that time and see the purpose behind it, and what it did for you, or maybe even, kept you from potentially. And I know that is a part of your story in terms of using scenarios like that and investing in people kind of coming along now. I wanted to kind of fast forward a little bit. I know you had the chance recently to coach a high school or academy team to the state Florida final, and I would love to hear like that experience, what it's like leading a team of young guys to that level. And then you can clarify for me. I think may have lost by just a stroke. Like, what is the message to those guys after a scenario like that to get them realigned and get back focused on the goal for this year?
Yeah, so going back, let me actually go back to high school because college was amazing, and I learned so much there. But high school, I had a coach that was like my first mentor in my life, and he really helped me in my faith. He really helped me. So I didn't really have like a good father figure in my life growing up, and so he kind of and I always sought after. I think naturally, and so I grew up with my mom, and I think I naturally sought after men who I thought were living a life that I wanted to live, and so my high school coach was that. I'll go back to that because so he was because I want to know that he was incredible, a big game changer when it came to me growing in my faith, and then helping me through emotional instability in the game and allowing me to how I can continue to leverage golf as a platform. And then college golf happens. So now, yes. So going back to November of 2023, we are in the state championship, and now we are. So we lose by one to Charlie Woods' team, the Benjamin School, and so it was unreal. Like it's gonna be a movie one day, and I'm kind of speaking to that. It's the craziest thing you'll ever. Not only are we like major underdogs, not I shouldn't say major. Like Benjamin is a powerhouse school, so compared to them, we're major underdogs. But we have an incredible team. We have great heart. I can talk an insane amount about what we do as a team. Um, but they're leading after the first day by 3 shots, and we're tied in second with another school. And we take the lead. We're up by 5 going into 15, up by 5. And so I'm like, Lord, you are great. You are good. Like, just keep it. Let's, like, God, I'm just like speaking to a W here, like I'm just everything I can do. And the 15th green is a par three, downwind, downhill, 140, but playing like 100. So everyone's hitting like a sand wedge into this green. And then 14 greens behind me, it's a par five. So I'm in between two. I can see 14 guys walking up to 15. 15. So Charlie puts it to like almost holds it, makes birdie, and he like just screams. And then number there. So he's their fifth player. Number 4 player puts like a foot, makes birdie, and my guys are making pars. Number 3 player puts it to like 3 feet, and then you hear the screaming. They're all like, "Let's go!" and everything like that. I'm like, "Oh my Lord!" And so they makes birdie. Number 2 guy puts like a downhill slider. He makes birdie. And all my guys, and then on 14, my number 2 guy and my number 1 guy, is Palmer. He's going to go play for UCF in the fall. They both hard lip out for birdie on that par 5. And we're like, well, I'm like, what? I'm like, all right, God, you just want to make it dramatic. Like, that's what you want to do. And so you couldn't make it. I mean, it was so going now, my 5 guys finishing up, he pars. Number 4 guy does make bogey. It levels it out to where both teams are even. My number 1 guy birdies this insane birdie on 17. So now we're up by 1. And then their number 1 guy birdies, and then we have a bogey in there somewhere. So we end up losing by 1. It was just unbelievably dramatic, like the most dramatic thing. And then and 18, my number 1 guy blips out for birdie on 18 in front of like TV. I mean, Tiger's there. So my number 1 guy lips out on 18 for birdie, and there's TV crews and everything because Tiger's watching, and he's there the whole entire day. And so, and just a quick story, he actually sat in my cart for like a minute. So I like to think that I helped chauffeur the goat for a minute, but it was very dramatic. So that was a long story on the state championship. We were, however, let me go back because my heart is I love these boys. I saw them from their freshman year of this team all through their senior year. So my high school golf coach, when I was in college, I ended up finding out he had an affair with his wife, and that like absolutely wrecked me to the core. Because my dad was pretty much growing up like just major issues with that, and he just kind of was out of the picture. And so then now my mentor, who I kind of looked at as a father figure, like he goes and does that, and it killed me. So I I had this heart, I guess this maybe because how the Lord uses the story there to coach. And I coached another team years ago when I was even playing the minis as well. I was coaching a high school team, and so I took a break to start help kind of get top speed going, and God kind of pulled me back into the first academy where I'm the coach now. And so I told them because of that, these boys, I've always kind of said this to them. I was like, hey, you don't understand how much I need you as well, much as you need me, because you don't understand, by you being in my life, it makes me want to be better, and I just don't want to mess up. I don't want the same thing to happen to y'all. I don't want to let you down. And I've communicated that to them several times, because I think it's important that, at that age, like 16, 15, 16, 17, 18, it's such a growth phase for men. We have all kinds of things happening, and we don't know how to handle anger. We don't know how to handle sadness. You think it's weird to be sad, all that kind of stuff. Well, as a leader, if we can come in and be a little bit vulnerable with them and say, like, listen, I need you. Well, they can come alongside you, and they got your back no matter what. So we create this culture of, like, everyone's coming together around a vision. So we can go about our vision for the team. Our vision was, our word was bold, and we wanted to be bold about our faith. That was our number one goal as a team this past season. We wanted to be bold but we wanted to be excellent in our trade. So our trade is, we can be excellent, so it can be inspiration for others, and that allows us to be bold for our faith. And so that for us to be really, really good, we can speak truth to others. And that happened so much. There were players from other schools who were asking us about Christianity. We were handing out WWJD bracelets to other players. I gave one to Tiger, and I think he put it in his pocket. So it was so it allowed us to be, so we thought about a win in the state championship. But the story of me and my high school coach is pivotal, because it allows me to not be the person that he was in that sense, but also how I can be better, and also be vulnerable, because like what we do at Restoration Club is like we need to be, in essence, vulnerable with each other, because like you can ask Merb. Like Merb was like, like, bro, pray. He's on my prayer. Only pray for me, man. Like, that type of thing. And but it's so true. We can't hold in, like so much. And so even for especially these teenagers, like if I can show them a little bit of vulnerability, then they can kind of open up, and then they can trust me and say, Coach, I'm struggling with this, And I had a kid, and he's my number 2 guy, and he's the most stoic person you ever meet ever, and he's from China. And this year, at the end of the year, he's like, Coach, I love you. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. This is big. So golf is like the ultimate, my opinion, golf is the ultimate platform for vulnerability, because it levels a playing field. I coach CEOs, I coach football, retired athletes, celebrities, and it's the same thing. They chunk it and top it just as much as we chunk it and top it. It's just how we react, and that's one thing I tell these boys, like, as Christians, like how do we live it on the golf course? Well, it's our reactions. Our reactions are are really key, because that opens doors for people to be curious of, like, why is he still so happy? Like, he's not really playing that great, but he's like such an awesome person to be around. And that was our goal for our team, and that's what I try to be as a coach for others, because the game is just, I've seen very, very successful CEOs like fall to their knees because of this game, and I can come alongside them and be like, hey, you're going to be okay. I love you, and you're going to be just fine. And like, here, this is how we fix this out here. Anyway, so I love coaching, because it gives me an opportunity to, change the game. Just like I do, as I'm trying to do as a father. I'm trying to be there for my kids. So I can make a generational change in my family, and then make a generational change in the kids that I coach as well. But yeah, man.
That's good.
Robin, you touched on it a little bit, and I'd love to segue to it now, but you hit on Restoration Club and kind of the purpose of that and community and men. And I think there's a lot of purposes behind it. One thing, and I kind of want to speak into it now, that I feel like we haven't talked a lot about as it relates to the purpose of it. We talk a lot about men being together, strengthening marriages, strengthening each other as husbands, as brothers, as dads, even with our own kids, and using the game to create that relationship. One thing I feel like we haven't talked a ton about, which, I think is because a lot of us aren't necessarily in that scenario, but maybe a reason to seek it out, is being able to impact those guys in the 15 to 18 range, especially those who may not have those types of relationships, and to maybe impact that lane. So I just wanted to speak that because I think that could be a huge opportunity for us. But what was your introduction to Restoration Club? I know, you're one of maybe the rare few that have had already a few outings with a lot of the crew and getting to interact with people. So would love to hear, about those outings, and kind of, we always love hearing from other people outside of the quote unquote core and their perspective on the club and kind of their take on it.
Yeah. So the first actual outing, so I got connected through Marsh, obviously, and how that started actually was a mutual friend of ours, Tyler Reagan. He is a president of Catalyst Ministries for a while. He's in leadership development, very, very successful in that space. And I think he reached out to Marsh about kind of collabing in some sort of sense. And then he kind of made that connection between me and Marsh about we need to be the three of us and do something together. And then Restoration needs to do something with Tyler. And then somehow I'm got in the mix, and then I'm like, dude, I love Like, I just want to be a part of Restoration Club. So the first event was Cabot, right? Cabot Citrus, and where I got to really meet a lot of guys who are, not even local, but just who are involved in restoration. And it's comforting because you love, in the game of golf, you have, luckily I'm surrounded by a lot of believers and a lot of Christians in the game and how I coach. And I kind of purposely make that, I do that on purpose. But with restoration, you're able to kind of what we're talking about earlier is not only have a community of men of the same vision for your life, but you also have a common vision for, you love the game of golf. And so as we do that, we got to be vulnerable in life, and golf provides that, so that we can come alongside each other and build each other up and loving each other. Just having those small little moments. One of my mentors, when I said, like, we just have these little moments in life that carry us on for years, and it can be one sentence. And then that happens. And so you can, with restoration, that happens because you're able to do that on the golf course. You're able to have community. And then, you're able to then, like I told you earlier, like Merb, because of Restoration Club, Merb is one of my guys on my prayer list. Like, my guys I text if I need prayer. It was incredible. So, and there's only 3 guys on there. You know what I mean? So that for 2024, but like without Restoration Club, and I was really praying about that too, because I have a lot of men who I look up to, who are mentors, who I maybe look for guidance, but maybe not necessarily appropriately vulnerable with and open and honest. So good example is, let's say, I one of my mentors in life, he's a CEO, chairman of a company you may know that's closed on Sundays and makes fantastic chicken. But you want to, like, I love him, but like I also, I can be vulnerable with him and to a certain degree, but he's not in it. Merb's in it in life with me. So, and you guys are in it. We're talking about kids. We're talking about careers, and so we're in it together. And so they're able to, kind of what we're talking about, the golf team. We're able to create a little hotbed of strong men, leaders who love golf, love faith, who use that platform, and then we can kind of infiltrate the world, and we can come together and then go back out. Come together and then go back out, and then bring others in. That's that's the goal. That's the beautiful thing about golf. Golf is the ultimate infiltration tool for the kingdom, in my opinion. Like, you say Cabot, you're like, how many guys like who don't even know the Lord want to come to, like, I don't care what kind of event it is. Like, I'm going to go to Cabot. You know what I mean? I'm going to go to the park. and hang out at the park, and with the guys who are there. So it's such an awesome opportunity to us together. We can get filled, all of us here, and then we can go out and then we can say, hey, we got an event at Dormy. I'm just saying that we got an event and then we can bring somebody else, and then it gives us an opportunity to be like, hey, this is what we're really about here. And then you see those moments of vulnerability with some of these guys. It's amazing. It's so good.
One thing, Robin, I did want to say, even basing on what you're saying now and how people want to be a part of it, and even backtracking a little bit, even to your story. You mentioned one phrase in particular was around how people's reactions are, your golf team's reaction, your reaction to when your high school coach messes up, your reaction when your dad wasn't always his best version of himself.
Mm.
Like those types of things could derail someone forever. But on top of those examples you gave, like your reaction to be a better influence to that younger generation, and then to also inside of Restoration Club itself to be that positive influence of like positivity, energy, all that good stuff. So that way, at the end of the day, the gospel's the thing, right? The interconnected relationship with Jesus is the main thing. And so your ability to react properly has actually shifted probably a lot of directions for other people you don't even know about yet. So, brother, I'm proud of you. I just wanted to say
Man,
that
thanks.
just hearing your story, I think I'm a big fan of people who overcome obstacles, and knowing that you have and that you're doing it in the right way, and that you're willing to keep grinding and sharpening iron, all those pieces. Man, that's really what this is about. And so kudos to that, man. Kudos to you. Keep pushing it, keep grinding as hard as you can, and keep putting out the right word of what it's supposed to be. So it's good.
Oh man, you're the man. You hit my love language to the core there for sure. So, or I
Nice.
think every man's words of affirmation, but
They won't say
yeah,
it, but I hear you. That's the truth.
yeah. No, no, I really do appreciate that, and it's good. Like I said, it is good because when sometimes and this is speaking from me at a full, transparent, and vulnerable moment here, where when things aren't going smooth, like I kind of feel alone sometimes. You know what I mean? So like guys, like this came out of because we're building something right now. We're a lot of energy is going into our nonprofit for the kingdom. So when you're doing stuff for the kingdom, you know Satan's right up there, kind of trying to get to you too at the same time. So he'll try to get you on all kinds of levels, your mind, small things like why did my car just break down? I don't know, and things like that. So it's good to have a community. Again, going back to I can text a guy part of restoration and be like, bro, can you just pray for me? Like I'm on the upswing, but things are trying to chop at my knees here. And then for as men, sorry. So what I was saying there, as a man, it allows me not to feel alone. And in that, as a word says, like, hey, don't be discouraged because your brothers in Christ are going through the same thing. And then Merb is the best. He gets, it's like, bro, like I'm going through the same thing that you're going through, and all that kind of stuff. And so it's a great thing about community and what we're doing is that you're not alone. And I'm speaking that from a personal standpoint. When things aren't going smooth, like I think I'm the only one going through that. And I'm like, no, man, you're not. Like, nah, Danny's kind of going through a little bit too, and I can DM him and be like, bro, can you just pray for me really quick? And it's cool what we have, and there's a lot of trust in there, and no judgment zone. You know what I mean? That's the biggest thing I think too, and the ability to come alongside your brother and pick him up, and say, hey, let's just get this together. You know what I mean? So anyway, no, that already, and like I haven't been in restoration for a long time, but like it's already impactful as you just try not to tackle this world, especially as a Christian right now in this time. And, can't tackle it alone. You just can't. It's impossible.
That's good. Well, Robin, we have a favorite question in the clubhouse that people always cling to and people love, but it's one that's really important because as much as we love a good swing on a course and a great low score, what's your favorite memory on a golf course that doesn't involve a golf club, though?
Yeah. So my favorite one is 2019 Masters. I was lucky to be there with LT Gray. Not with him, but to see him. And it was unbelievable. Like I
Yeah.
was, I remember going through 12, and you hear the roar because no one's on his phone, so you hear the roars here, you hear
Yeah.
the roars there. I've got a peach cream ice cream if you have one of those in my hands, and you're like running to or fast walking to 16. You
Yeah.
see Tiger stiff it. The cool thing is that where I was on, so we hightail it to 18 green, and this is kind of cool. Everyone's like just like this standing there. I'm next to a guy. I have no idea who it is. It's about my age. There's a guy behind me is about my age. There's two guys in front of me. This guy right here, he's crying
Hmm.
watching Tiger come up. And then Tiger wins, and like everyone's just like hugging each other. We're all jumping, and we're all like just like dirt and sweat. It's amazing, and I always kind of like it's a good story that I can tell I think about those times where I have a lot of stories about my kids are so young, but I have a lot of stories about the golf course. But that's something I can kind of like tell my son. You know what I mean? And I can I was there, and I got like a flag and the badge from when from there, and like my son would be like, yeah, my dad was there when Tiger won his potentially last Masters, and it's just a great story. Yeah, potentially, yeah.
2024 is our
So
year. Let's get it. Let's get
yeah,
it.
come on. But yeah, that was one of my favorite times. Good old Augusta.
I mean, what a flex, this guy. I mean, I was expecting something out of Nona or something like that. Next thing I know,
Uh,
this guy is coming in with Augusta National. This guy. I
so
love it.
I
I
haven't
love that, man.
haven't played it. I haven't played it, but maybe 2024 is the year.
Yeah. Yet. Yeah.
We've now had guys on here that have played Augusta, guys that have taken in guys winning green jackets. Man, what's going to be next on here?
What's going to be next is me going to Augusta, Danny. I'm speaking that. What are you
I'll take
talking
it.
about?
That works.
Yeah, that was we were just talking about. We've had people who played Augusta who have been there when Tiger wins the tourney. We've
Yeah,
had all sorts of different people in their stories, and then I was just speaking into existence. Me getting to walk down the lane and get to enter my way into Augusta someday. So maybe this is not the year because I lost the lottery for 26
yeah.
straight years, but maybe
Oh God.
maybe soon. That's good. But man, I'm trying to think. Robin, as we've kind of been sitting here and talking more and more about the path of to become a teacher, a coach, to become a husband, a father, all those patterns that go. Do you see? This is just an off the cuff question. Do you see a theme that has played out for you in all of those roles and how they've come together? Has there ever been a theme for you in all of that?
Yeah. So the the number one thing that I've done, I think, and I even think it's not fast enough, is when doors open, I've always walked through them. And I think it's because I've had a big chase. Like when I was young, I wanted to chase success. And then when I was in my 20s at Crew, I wanted to be the best Campus Crusade leader there was in the country. And then when I was with IKEA, I wanted to be, and I was on track. Like I wanted to be the president of US IKEA. So I've always kind of strived to be I've always like had this desire, and partially because, like, this is again a full transparent. I strive so long for someone to say, "Hey, I'm proud of you," or "I love you" from a male. So I think that kind of drove me to always do that, to be like, "Hey, can someone say I'm proud of you for crushing it?" And I have a lot of people who have said that, so I appreciate but they I always walk through an open door because you never know what the next one's going to bring, like always. And that's where like the Bible even says that. The Bible says, "Hey, get up, go." Go. And so we need to have a spirit. And then I've made quote unquote risky decisions, but as Christians, in my opinion, like we are called, we got to do things fast. In my opinion, as Christians, we can't like allow things to happen. And I didn't learn that until like maybe 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So because we're here for only a short period of time as a human being, and so we've got to kind of make the most of it, to put it simply. And so it's inspiring to move fast. It's inspiring to make risky decisions, to open doors, to be a little bit radical, as long as you're kind of in step with the Lord every single time. And I think that's the parallel there. And maybe I haven't been in step with the Lord every time of those decisions, but those are my intuition. And I always think, as a believer, our intuition comes from the Lord. That you've got to just walk through open doors. You just have to do it. And that's the, from like Nona to, to college golf, where I went and sought after that coach myself. I applied for a college loan myself. I had my mom sign a paper. She didn't know what she was even signing, things like that. And like, I was like, I did all that about, and I was like, and then to go and get, to leave my job. And so, it's, we have to be, as men, as Christian, as fathers, we have to move fast, in my opinion. We have to make now quote unquote risky decisions that are tied in with the Lord, because it's inspirational for those who are coming up behind us, in my opinion.
Love that. That's a solid word, and a good, I think, exclamation point on this time, man. I really believe, Robin, what you're doing, not only investing in the hearts of those young men, but also investing in the hearts of your children, into your wife, your community, will speak volumes for eternity. And so, we're happy you were in the clubhouse with us tonight, having a chance to talk through, your process, where you've come from, where you are now, and more excited about us getting to get a chance to get out there and maybe catch a free lesson on the links one day. Get out there and work through these hips. But we'll get this thing going. But man, it's been so great having you on here, and we just appreciate totally your heart for this. Your heart for the Lord and what you really want to see accomplished. So appreciate you.
Man, you guys are the best. Love you guys. I'm so grateful for you guys, and the timing of you guys coming into my life is wonderful and perfect. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. This was fun.
Well, our text thread isn't dead, so remember, whenever you need that same prayer, if you're feeling a little bit of a sluggish one, man, just feel free. We'll be glad to throw some gasoline on that fire and help you keep going.
Don't say it, but I'm gonna do it.
I'm not playing games, because get ready. It's going to go the other way. You're going to be like, what in the world's Ryan texting me for?
Let's go. I love it.
And if you got to send us a gym pick at the same time for a little motivation, you can do that too.
That's awesome.
Like, get on it.
Exactly. Get there.
All right, guys. Well, that is season 2, episode 3, wrapping with Robin Rosado. What a guy. I think he's involved in the game in maybe about 6-7 different ways at this point.
Never say anything like, it's the most, from design, from golf instruction to, I'm still fascinated by the whole top speed thing, but leadership, like you said,
high
development,
school,
coaching kids, guys own kids in junior golf, like it's all over the places, dude. I love it.
And if the story of him taking on Charlie Woods didn't have you on the edge of your seat, we might have to run some more stories back.
Charlie Woods was 5th on that team too, by the way. That tells you they were a pretty good
stacked.
Yeah. That's how it'd be over there, Benjamin.
For sure. But we love that conversation, guys. Love having in new guests. Obviously, he's a friend of the family. Really enjoy him getting involved. I heard him talking about taking in Cabot with a lot of our guys, getting really involved. And that's what we're trying to do, guys. We're trying to get guys connected, not just on the course, but off the course. So love hearing those stories. Make sure you keep tuning in. Check us out on our website, restorationclub.co. Make sure you're following restoration_club on Instagram. Check out the podcast, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all the places you need it. Until next time, guys, keep swinging.
Keep swinging.